Hey, so another day of dev videos. Now, apologies for not having a video out yesterday. It got so late into the evening when I finally finished my schoolwork that I decided to just pick up my hobby of playing MechWarrior and play it instead of making videos. For those who are also asking why there's a huge sum of MechWarrior videos that are being uploaded, um, these are mostly for my clan as well as people to just kind of just see how well I play MechWarrior. They're not some new direction of the channel. They're not anything special. You guys can pretty much ignore them. For those who have never really looked at the description of my YouTube channel, it is a channel that is not directed in any given way. It's actually just my random channel. We actually do have a few other channels if I actually pop open here. We have a channel for the studio and we have a channel for the modding. Eventually, when the momentum starts going on the YouTube channel, we are going to start using both of these two channels for the actual modding and game development stuff, and then my channel will primarily continue to be just random videos of me doing random things. This will include MechWarrior, Factorio, a variety of different things. So there won't be no real focus, but carrying on, we're going to get to development stuff. Now, last video we worked on fixing some packet issues and a variety of other things. Between then and today, I did fix several other problems. There was an issue with the configs for Armory mod. Armory mod was saving in the wrong location. That actually has been corrected now. For those who noticed it, most people probably did not. It has also been set up so that way it will auto fix itself too. So right now the config or the old version was saving under the BBM folder. So it was in the BBM folder, then it created another BBM folder, then created the Armory folder, which was a mistake. What had happened is I transitioned from saving the weapon data into your world save to your config folder. The reason for doing this was so mod packs can fix weapon IDs by themselves and then have it pre-fixed. Weapon IDs are auto-assignable, so mod pack owners do not have to fix this. The only reason you would ever have to fix it if there was something stupid, and it should stay consistent. That's the reason why it was switched to the config folder. But during the switch, this setting down here, when it created the new armory data, would create the save folder. So it would actually create a save folder, and it was putting BBM on the front of this here. And I actually slightly recall putting that in the front of there after the config switch. I may have broken it after the config switch and not before the config switch. Anyways, it's been fixed, so it'll find the folder. It'll then create the new folder. If the new folder doesn't exist, it will make the folder. If the old folder exists, it is a directory, so people cannot screw with it by just making a folder or making a file the same name. It'll then iterate through everything, and then it will move all the files. Theoretically, this shouldn't crash. Actually, while I'm at it, I'm just going to put a try catch around the whole thing. That way, if it ever crashes, well, it'll tell you so. That way you guys get some nice little debug going on here and a variety of other things. And then I still need to make a prompt for both of these so that way if it fails to move the files, it'll go, hey, it failed to move. Do you want to manually move these real quick? And that'll be something we'll do here later, maybe? Actually, that's something, that'll be a really good thing to do. Now, most people don't realize this, that you can actually open up prompts inside of Minecraft. They're not Minecraft driven, so they actually are not very good. But let me go find Voltage here. Let me mute my mic so I can clear my throat. Still haven't had my morning coffee, and I know it's like 4:45 here, but I've only been awake for like an hour. It's been a long last couple days. Of course, my insomnia is keeping me awake again. Not as bad. I know when I say insomnia, I'm really don't mean the actual version. It's whatever I've got. It's incredibly mild. It just happens to keep me awake. So let's see. We want to get the core down here, and we want to go grab something out of here. What I'm trying to grab down here is we have an updater built into the core for updating some of our dependencies. And there is a really nice run in here, I believe, that I have built into here that I just want to go ahead and copy. Here. So I'm looking for this part right here, which is graphic environment is headless. And yeah, I just want to copy this part. Because I always forget that graphic environment is headless, and you can't open up prompts on a server if it's headless, basically. Headless basically means you don't have a display. And then if it's headless, we want to go throw new runtime exception. And then failed to move files. See log for details. Yeah, we'll just do that because that's the easiest way to handle this. Then we get a headless environment and we can handle a few things here. All right, what we want to do is we want to go crash for this thing here, and we want to exit it. So what we're going to do is make a prompt real quick that says, okay, do you want to exit if we're missing the bit? So go failed to move config files from old folder to new folder. And what new thing here, and we go, do you want to close? We'll do another line thing here. Click no to ignore. And what we're going to do real quick is we're going to hit enter on both of these so that way it'll do that nice plus thing there. That way we can read everything. So that way we get a little bit better compressing here. It'll go error moving files. And there'll be yes no option, and then we'll grab the yes here and it'll do our thing here. And then what we want to do is we want to you know what we want to do? We're going to take and we're going to put this right down here because we only need one error. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change this to a throw with info. That way we recycle the code a little bit here. Because if we error here, you're going to end up down here anyways. So if we throw an error here, is like, we just go like this. We'll go error moving file, and then we can just put the file we're moving, and then we can put the exception here. We throw that, and then that's caught down here by these exceptions. Rather, should be caught by these exceptions. Yeah, right there. It'll show up here, so we'll get the error log here, and then it'll do this. If we if it's a server, it's auto going to crash. Failed to move file, see log for details. And then we'll put a thing here where we'll tell them what to move here. So we'll go, okay, old config file needs to be moved to config folder. That way there's no confusion there. And we'll go ahead and test this, and the way we're going to test this is I'm going to go find, by the way, back to the video thing, here's all the videos that have been uploaded, here's all the videos that need to still be uploaded, and that's not including, like, wow, we don't have any Minute War ones. There's some uploads still left in there. There's some game dev videos that haven't been uploaded. There's a huge folder of edit and YouTube stuff that hasn't been uploaded yet. But let's go find the folder here so we can go ahead and test this and move on with stuff. So by the way, I noted this on Twitter. This week and next week are going to being spent entirely on just stabilizing mods. Adding missing content, cleaning up features, fixing tooltips, so that way I can actually focus then on the back end of fixing my APIs, so that way I can update to the newer versions of Minecraft. I kind of got yelled at for trying to update before I fixed mods, so that's the reason why we're at this point. We're in the wrong folder. So I did want the Voltcenter folder, and I got distracted while I was talking here. And we want runs, run to config, and AgriCraft. Why do we have an AgriCraft folder here? Oh wait, that we're supposed to have AgriCraft. My My brain is all over the place today. Okay, so it's already moved stuff out of here, so what we're going to do is we're going to dump this in here. So that's the previous armory folder is now back where it was at, and we're back into that nested structure that we didn't want to be in. The reason I haven't deleted this folder, and I'm just moving these guys out of here, is because in case there are extra things in this folder, so if there's errors from other mods, and we don't want to delete a folder that we don't know what's contained inside of it. Now I can make proper handling for this, but at the moment it's just not really worth my time and effort. So we're just going to go ahead and fix the minor issue and then move on. So we got this folder, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit debug client. And what we want to see is if this dialog pops up. And actually, we need to force this dialog to pop up. So what we're going to do is we're going to just put an error here. And I got to get rid of that part so it'll recompile. Actually, we're going to have to relaunch again because I added it too early and it just failed to compile. Because for whatever reason I've got it set up, it's going to compile every single time we launch, which is, it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but it can be tedious at times. Of course, we got all the code generators I have to run, and I got to work on the code generator here. People keep asking me to add IC2 support to a lot of my mods. The code generator is how we're going to do IC2 support for everything. How it's going to work is that the node will not have IC2 support on it. It will be the wrapper object. So you'll have a base wrapper, and then you'll have one that has IC2 support on it, and then RF is just going to be included by default. I'm just not even going to bother with that. So it'll be implemented on the wrapper no matter what. But in order to get IC2 support, there'll be a second wrapper. What will happen is there'll be code built into VoltEngine, and it'll go, okay, we have IC2 installed, go ahead and start using this wrapper rather than the other one. And because we're doing this all via code generation, we don't have to care because it'll just work. I may start doing prefabs for this as well. There are some other options available. Add optional is the number one people use a lot. If I can't get the code generator to work, we'll probably use that because that'll be the quickest. I might go borrow Reika's strippable system. Actually, I think it's no. I think he uses that injectable. We'll look around at our options to see what we can do. I just know we used to have an ASM system for this. That I worked on. I got it working, and I could inject IC2 support. I could inject TF support. I could inject open tweeters and everything. And then when we took it to a live environment, we kept having constant issues with mods like Ender.io and thermal expansion and a few other ones where our ASM was causing those mods to crash, and we could never figure out why, so we went ahead and just ditched it. After all, there are easier ways to handle support. One of the easiest ways to handle support that I am considering doing right away is just adding a converter built right into the mod. I don't have to do anything fancy for a converter. I just have to go, okay, we have an RF to IC2 converter, we have a UE to IC2 converter. I could just call it a transformer so you guys would never notice, and I could just set it up so that it'll auto transform between each version. Okay, here we go. We got our prompt now. If we click no, it'll move on, and it'll just go like that. And if we hit close, we can relaunch again, and we can test the next behavior. But the power converter ideal is probably one of the best options available, because then if I ever run into another power system that I don't want to implement on all my tiles, I can just go ahead and implement a power converter for it. That's been the thought has been going through my head is the best option right now. The other option is, of course, I got to make a whole bunch of wrapper classes and do a whole bunch of fancy stuff, or I got to go through add optional features, and there's so many different ways to do it, and every way kind of sucks a little bit. The power converter is the only one that doesn't really suck for me as a developer. For you guys as a user, it kind of sucks a little bit, but not too much. It just means you have one extra tile into your mess of machines. It just means you'll have to plan out things a little better. I will always have RF support built in my stuff, so if you have a cable that supports RF, you'll be fine. The universal cables will support all power systems, so we will be adding those to basic industries eventually. So the reality of it is you will most likely not need to have this converter for long. It'll just be in there and it'll work. And then for those guys who like to play immersive packs and stuff, then there will be options to turn off the universal cables logic behavior. That way, then you can force power converters to be used. And what you can say in your lore is that each of these power systems has different power ratios, and they have to be converted back and forth in order to function properly. Although that would just, from a building perspective, that would suck though. But I'm going to give as much options as possible, and power converter is probably going to be the quickest. Universal cable will probably come after that, and then at some point I'll get the code generators working so we can do stuff with that. I'm trying to also think, I know there's a way, in which we could trick the class loader into loading different classes, and that may also be a possibility. Because if we have a prefab, which is a power prefab, and we have, say, multiple different versions, what we can do is, okay, I want you to load this version of this class, but not this version. And that way, everything gets access to all the power stuff automatically, and we don't have to do a whole bunch of fancy things. We don't have to end up with like 50 different classes, and there's not a lot of extra work there. But I have to figure out how to do that system. I know there is a way to do it because that's kind of what ASM sort of does, except you're generating the code in real time. What if instead of generating the code in real time, you just switch classes you're loading? It wouldn't be too difficult. It is a possibility. I actually probably could implement that right now because the bytes would already be pre-compiled, and all I would have to do is just go, okay, we're trying to load this on, yeah, we got IC2 here, we got RF here, so go ahead and load version 3, or go load version 4 or whatever of the class structure. We didn't get our error that I wanted here. Actually, we should have got our error. Oh, we didn't get our error because the fault files don't exist. I gotta move stuff back. So if you go in here, oh, no, they're still there actually. Whatever, something happened. Moved one file or something. We'll launch again because what it did is I think yeah, this check didn't fire because that folder actually still exists. So yeah, we missed out on our test there. So we'll hit debug again. So we'll get this tested, and then we're gonna bounce over to working probably on missing icons today. This is gonna be a short day. It's a holiday, so as soon as people show up to my house, I'm gonna be cooking out here. So can't be coding all day. Hopefully over this week I won't be as bulked up on schoolwork, so I'll have a little bit more free time. At least that's the plan. The reality of it is I might not. I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't even bothered looking at my schedule for this week. I know I'm supposed to have a team meeting in either today or tomorrow, so that's even the more interesting thing. Why we're not doing a lot of recordings, because that team meeting should be at like 7:30. So somewhere in the middle of me cooking out, I've got to then take and put a headset on and then talk to people from a class about a project that I still don't really know what we're doing with. We're supposed to be making a gradebook for a cell phone and web page, but we have like so little details. We've only got a minimum requirement system, and the team leader quite hasn't caught up with everything yet for us to get the momentum rolling. And I'm not the team leader, by the way. I'm playing the pawn in this one, which is kind of interesting from my perspective. Is I'm usually always the guy in charge when it comes to a project, and now I'm not the guy in charge, which is unusual. I mean, even when you consider the fact I used to work for Cal Clavia, or volunteer for him, because he didn't pay me until right before UE finally failed, and he paid me some money to update all his mods and etc. But even when then, I was kind of still working kind of for myself and not for him, because he would just go, we need to get this done, and then he'd let me do whatever I wanted. Okay, so now we got our error pop again. If we hit yes, Minecraft crashes. So our error dialog works perfect. Now I need to get rid of this right here, because or else it'll continue to crash, because we just wanted to force it to crash so we could see the logic behavior. And then we need to open this up, and we want to come over to Armory real quick, and we want to upload what we just made. Let's prompt. I think it's no, it's not how you spell prompt. Almighty Google save me because I don't know how to spell this. Prompt. Ha.
Prompt of an event or fact.
If you can ever fail to spell something, Google has your back. Here we go. We add that in there. That gives a little bit of extra sanity towards the behavioral logic, and we should be good. So now we can jump over to working on ICBM, and I don't know if we're actually going to work on the icons. Let me just go ahead and get the game booted up. I'm going to boot up ICBM only. And by the way, this is back to being ICBM only. I actually removed all the other mods from it, so we can just test ICBM. So we're going to load this up, and we're going to see just how bad of a condition we're in when it comes to the icons and the tooltips. But we do need to, there are other things that do need to be focused more on. The threads still need to be fixed. If you notice, I've complained about those in a few episodes where they don't die. That is something I'm going to have to work on. And what I might do is I might just do a global kill condition on that one, and then just have the thread check the global kill condition every single loop. That would probably be the easiest way to do it, and I'll put that in Volt's engine. I'll go, okay, is Volt's engine running? And then it'll go false, and then it'll turn all the threads off. I'm also going to see if we can... Actually, you know what? This might be the best thing to do. We work on the threads, because the threads are probably one of the major things that are going to screw a server up pretty bad if I don't fix them. Because even though a server will terminate eventually, it might not terminate directly, and it may cause other problems. And I'll probably get a complaint from Ackless for it eventually. Not sure why. I always get something stuck in my throat when I record these. But yeah, so like companies like Ackless, CreeperHost, and a few others would start to complain that this mod has live threads that aren't dying off. I know they do have ways to fix that, so they can fix it on their side, but I don't want to have to force them to fix it on their side, so we're going to fix it on our side. We want to make sure that these mods run perfectly server-side. And yeah, it's a really good idea. Ignore all the missing blocks. Yeah, as I said, I removed a whole bunch of stuff from this world. And I gotta find time this week to work on my clients mods too. It's gonna be fun with keeping schedules here. Got a few different things. This is where we're working on the Midas Touch. I still gotta fix the ore for this. That's gonna be real easy to do. I just have to create a registry that starts keeping track of the class names of a whole bunch of blocks. It'll probably just be an enum is what it'll end up being. Actually, it'll probably just be a JSON file. And then it'll copy itself to the config on run, and then you can just add stuff to it. Or, no. I'll let you add stuff to it. I won't let you access the config directly. We'll figure that out later. So we got all the missiles and stuff are good. We still got to fix the biome textures. I'm gonna fix these after we move the biome out of the main explosive set, because right now there are part of everything in this tab is pretty much the same item except for the crafting stuff at the top. So the crafting stuff is its own item, and then all the explosives are their own items. So there's only 2 items that are actually in this system, even though we have a whole bunch of meta values. So we got to do the biome. We're gonna have to split these off. We still have to fix them too. I think I've got the biome IDs backwards, so when you go to fire them, they don't work right. You can see the tooltips aren't working for them either. We're missing icons in all the egg capsules here. These ones are going to be real easy to fix though. We're going to split the item off first before I fix them. These aren't craftable, so nobody will notice if they go missing anyways. And server owners can just give the items back if they really want to. Or they can run a piece of code that would fix them. Actually, you know what I'll probably do? I'll insert some code into the item to auto turn these into the new version. What I'll do is I'll put some kind of tag in there and we'll do that. That'll be another episode though, as we're not going to focus on that today. We do have to fix a lot of the tooltips though. I got to rebalance the size on a lot of these. I got to fix the cake package too. Right now it only drops 1 cake item, but you can stick like 5 of them into something, but it doesn't drop any more than 1 cake. I need to make sure that actually is fixed. Tooltips on quite a few of these are messed up. Like these are too long lengthwise. They're supposed to next line, but they're not next lining properly. What we're going to probably go do through is figure out some kind of new system to fix this. There are multiple ways I can do it, and I may implement multiple approaches to kind of give translators as many options as they want to make this work correctly. The interesting thing is when you start getting down to some of these, like I didn't put this out, but these are really heavily color-coded. I didn't realize this until I started looking at these a couple days ago, that how highly color-coded these ended up being, and I think it's completely accidental it ended up this way, because that shift for detail thing is actually part of a prefab. It's I copied one of our old prefabs from back in like the UE 1.4 days, and if you notice it has a similarity to the mechanism thing, it's because that's where mechanism got theirs as well. We're both using the same code, but we didn't copy each other. We copied code that was created for Universal Electricity, which is a dead project that was made. I wouldn't say open source because it's kind of made the commons, I think is what you call it, because it means anybody can use it and there's no rules for it anymore. That's saying the code is commons, not the IP. The IP I own right now, so just to make that clear. So we're good on all this. Now we just need to work on the threads, and then when we get the threads fixed, we're going to come back through and probably do tooltips, and then we're going to probably split the items off and then fix the icons. Those last 2 are probably going to be for tomorrow, because today the threads are about the only thing I'm going to be able to squeeze in. Now the threads, we need 2 options. We're going to need a kill command to kill the threads off. We're going to need a version for ICBM, and we're going to need a version for the core. The core will kill off everything. So the core will have this universal, I want to just dump whatever's on the thread and kill it off. We might want to be selective though. So in the future, we're going to probably want to come back through here and we're going to want to figure out what stuff can be taken off the thread and what stuff cannot be taken off the thread. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with this. There's permissions, there's JSON. Could be a debug command. It needs to be a public object, so we're going to have to think about it for a second. We have a few different options to stick stuff on. Kind of wish our YouTube wouldn't pop that notification up while I'm recording, but there's no way to tell them I'm recording. Probably could do a plugin for it. I mean, OBS is a nice plugin system. I have been considering making a plugin that will figure out what game I'm recording and will keep track of the title for me and a lot of other metadata. That way I can, when I upload these videos, it'll be a little nicer. So we've got butcher command, we've got the remove command, which is basically the butcher command. You can get the version, everybody can access that. You got the clear command, which what do you do? Oh yeah, this is a version of the inventory clear, except it'll let me clear the armor versus inventory, and I need to do a hotbar clear as well for it later. We got the debugs and we got the JSON. Then everything else is registered in a different tab, but there are a lot of other stuff in here. If you notice, there's a lot of subcommand stuff in here. It's not all showing. I want to say let's just make a subcommand called lag. No, that won't work either. It's a little complicated. Maybe we should just make one called thread. Yeah, let's just make one called thread. That's gonna be the easiest one in my head right now. That's what I'm thinking of, and we're just gonna call it subcommand thread. And then we're gonna copy this real quick, and then we're gonna make a new entry for it. That way, people can add to the command system. I need to convert almost all of this to JSON, by the way, because if you notice how simplistic this is, there's no difference between all of this. It's really, really, really basic. And what we want to do is we want to come down through here, and we want to replace JSON with thread. Replace all. Match case. I should have picked up on the underscore part, but it's not. Oh yeah, here we go. We had it set to match words. Replace, that'll work. There we go. So that way it's fixed by default. When we did our JSON command last time, I had an issue where I failed to rename a few of these properly. So with the find and replace, it'll work a lot better. So now we got our thread command, and now what we want to do is we make a folder for this, or package, whichever one you would call it, thread. And we're going to make a few different commands in here. So the number one we want to do is we want to kill commands, so we can kill the threads, and then turn them off. Do we actually, that's a confusing thing. Do I actually want a thread kill command? Because if I make a kill one, I'm going to have to make a startup thread, or make a startup command so you can turn the threads back on. And I'm not sure what will happen if you kill the threads completely off. Right now we only use them for ICBM, but in the future this could be worse, because the threads are designed to be worker threads, meaning they can do anything and everything you want them to do. So you can dump all kinds of data on them, and then they'll go ahead and they'll process it and chew through the data, and they'll work and they'll do their thing. And I've even been considering actually making special threads for GPU chips. That way you can take advantage of the multi-cores on GPU. So that way if a server who's owned by a private individual wants to, they can put a GPU into a server tower, and then ICBM could take advantage of that, which would be really cool, because a lot of our explosions are really small, and if they could run on those really small GPU cores, because if most people don't know this, GPUs have thousands of cores on them, which means you can multi-thread massively on them. Although that's going to take a lot of work, so I'll have to do like a shader program and a few other things, and there's a lot of like little bitty parts that you have to screw with. anyways, we got off track here. I need to go borrow. Yeah, we're gonna borrow this class. We're gonna put it here, and we're just gonna make one called command thread clear. We want to get rid of everything in the bulk of this class. Let's go all the way up here. Oh, come on. My mouse is acting up on me. That's actually not IntelliJ. I was about to bitch at IntelliJ for that, but that's not what IntelliJ is doing right now. So this is going to be called clear. And then we don't need to check anything else. So we just need to run this part here. So we're already going to know if arguments don't equal null, arguments in link are greater than 0, well. We could add conditionals to this. We're just going to make a basic thread here, or a basic thing here. So we're going to return true. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab the worker threads, which you grab through the Bolts Engine API. Worker threads. And then I need to remember how you can mess with the worker threads. We can do a command to check how many contained threads there are. Void clear. So we're going to have to make a method for this. Call to clear all active yeah, that'll work. Then we also want to make something called pause. Pause. Void resume. Because we're gonna make some other things for here. So like if your server's experience like massive amount of lag and you don't want to clear the thread off because you don't know what it's doing, it'll do a few things here. Pauses the processes on the thread. Resumes the processes. And then we want to make we make these return booleans so that way we know what happens. So actually I need to do @return true if paused. That way for the command system I know what's going on. So if you call pause twice, it's already paused. Or a few other things, and this will be cleared, and this will be return true if cleared processes. And you maybe get somebody who makes a version of the worker thread that's their own little system that doesn't support these behaviors. This will be return true if unpaused. Actually, just resumed, because unpaused is apparently not a word. So we're good here. We're going to have to actually go down to lib and mess with the worker threads. Actually, I'm just going to do a control B on here and then just jump to the worker thread. And then just implement the methods. Why did it not add the resume method? Okay. We gotta change the name. Pause, pause worker, resume worker. And we want to do clear processes. The reason I have to change this is that apparently there is actually a resume method in the thread in the super. So get rid of these guys. And then when it comes to pause, what's going to really just happen is it'll go to loop and it'll just stop, I guess. Yeah, so it'll just constantly hit wait cycles, but it ended up happening. And then clear processes, what we want to do is technically kill it without killing it. So what we want to do, and there's a waiting method, which is true. Okay, so that's trying to think of like a way to manipulate this, because the thing is, when you call this, it isn't going to just stop as soon as you call it, because it's sitting in a loop that's going to continuously run, and it's queuing a process, it's polling it, it's running that process. When it's running the process, it will continue to run the process, and it cannot stop the active process. You know what? We should probably do this real quick. I haven't considered doing this, but it'd be nice to know what the active process was. So we'll do this real quick. Current process. Do refactor. My thread process. So we got run process, get priority, kill action. So how this is going to work is when we go to clear process, we're going to have to go current process dot kill action. So if we have one, which by the way, we're going to have to do this. Current process doesn't equal null. Kill the process. Then we want to go processes. Should be a list of processes here. Yeah, we got a queue. It's a concurrent map too. This is spelled wrong, by the way. We're not trying to ask what, we're trying to get the queue. By the way, the reason I made that joke is queue in Spanish is what. We'll do this and then clear, and then we want to return if queue dot is empty. Now there is a trick with this. This is technically not thread safe, and this may actually break the system. We make another boolean here, private boolean paused equals false. So what we want to do is if paused, then what we're going to do is we're going to wait X amount of time. We'll see, is this nanoseconds or it's milliseconds? So we're going to want to wait a second, and actually I want to change this to a second as well. I don't know why it's at 10 seconds. I could explain why the threads are so laggy, like they like to wait their sweet ass time to actually respond to things. And we'll change this to 100 milliseconds and go if paused. And we're just going to return true on this. Actually, we're going to return paused. And then we're going to return not paused. And then this would just be paused equals true, because you're going to be paused no matter what. Paused equals false. And I got a bug report from Lim. Let's see what it is. ICBM. Some entities are missing or using incompatible names. Conventional okay, active grade. Explosives are shown as explosives. Incompatible translation. Missing entities are showing as entity ICBM missile.name, no translation. S9 are showing as, okay, we'll have to check that bug in a second. Just a whole bunch of translation issues. Not really too big of a deal. But this should let us kill it, or clear the process off, should kill here. When we kill, by the way, we're also going to do clear processes shortly after. Yeah, no, that's actually perfectly fine. Because when we kill it, we want to clear the process. Or actually, no, we just want to make sure we kill the active. We don't want to clear. There may be like a reason we want to keep stuff around. But this will kill off the current process as well. And hopefully this doesn't crash anything. That's the biggest part with messing with threads, is it's real easy to crash things. Okay, so when we want to go and we want to clear things, we want to go get all of our worker threads. So we want to go, and let me get this real quick. So that's a string worker thread. And by the way, this is like a named thread. I think the only reason I'm using the string is so I can iterate through them easier. For I worker thread, we'll do this. Then we want to go get or its values. And then you want to go if thread doesn't equal null because you could actually get a null value in here. We then want to go thread dot clear processes. And we can test this here shortly, as soon as I register it, of course. So we're going to come down here to the bottom, and we're going to go add to thread command, new command thread clear. And that'll give us the ability to murder the threads off. And this should work with ICBM. So by default, you can kill off ICBM stuff with this, but I'm going to make a version for ICBM as well. So that way you can kill off just the blasts. Actually, you know what? We're going to put this. We're not going to put this in ICBM because I just remember the blast code is Volts Engine specific. It's actually not directly built for ICBM anymore. I always neglect that because every time somebody asks a question about ICBM and when it relates to the thread, I always say it's like ICBM threads. So yeah, we'll have to work on that. So go ahead and launch this and go ahead and test this. And this video is already long enough, so what we're going to do as soon as I'm done testing this, I'm going to end this off because I need to probably go start cooking here pretty soon. Which, by the way, everybody enjoy Memorial Day. At least I think it's what today is. I'm so lost in schedules and work that I've completely forgotten what day it is most days. Okay, so we're back in here. Now let's just go ahead and run the command without doing anything. So ve thread clear. Why is there a space? Okay, okay, so for some reason that didn't work. Did I mess up on the naming of the thread here? It's called clear. Then we added to a command called thread. It acts like it's there. We're getting a help list here. Did I forget to return? No, we're returning true. I probably should get rid of all this extra junk in here. So this would be, yeah, we don't need this here. It's weird though, is we're getting help command right off the back. Did I miss something here? Designed to be used from inside of a modular command. Okay, so we got that. Handle console. Actually, let's go up here. We gotta figure out what's up. Process command. Yeah, that's what we need here. Okay, so we're gonna close this because it's not gonna work. I have to fix it. That'll give me a chance to go ahead and clear out all this junk as well. Because I forgot to do that while we were working. So there is a handle help. And by default, it's assumed that every command is going to have an argument list. So what we can do is go ahead and just grab this junk here. And then we can replace that. And there is no return true. You're going to just do that. What we want to do is also, why we're doing this, is we want to get sender.add chat message new chat component text cleared, and then plus, and we get the number of processes, so int processes. And then we want to get the thread name if it's got a name. We'll just do toString, that'll work, because toString should have the name in it. So this will work. We should be able to launch it now. What was happening, by the way, to be more specific, is that there is a handle help system. So handle help assumes that if you have no arguments being passed in, which we have no arguments being passed in, that it automatically must be a help command. You must be looking for information about the command and not trying to run the command itself. Which we got down here, handle help, argue equals null, argue length equals 0, argument 0 is null, equals help, or equals question mark. And that's all commands are built that way. Looks like we got another error report from Lim here. S-mine. Oh yeah, they don't have a render. Yeah, it's a known issue. I probably should tell Lim that ICBM Classic was never finished on the update. Or he's going to keep looking for bugs and be like, oh, there's this bug here, this bug here, you're leaving your mod in horrible condition. Well, I've noted several times that ICBM Classic was only a quick update, and that I never intended to finish updating it right away. I just wanted to give people enough content that they can go play with it, because there is quite a few things that need to be fixed in it. The radar system is acting up. There's several render problems. Not all the missiles have been updated to new renders. I still have to go through and start finishing those off. We do have some new models for them, which are a little nicer. They look exactly the same as the old ones, so don't go panic. Oh, you're replacing them. No, they're fixed, so you don't have things like Z fighting and stuff like that. Okay, so let's run that command again. So VE thread clear, and we got the help page again. What is wrong with this? Is there... I don't understand what we did wrong here that it's messed up. This process command should by default give me full access to that and shouldn't try to handle subhelp. So there is something wrong with the way this is set up then. I think I had the same problem with the butcher command a while back. Okay, so let's see where we're at with this stuff. So what I'm thinking is it's the modular command that's the problem. I think we've had a few issues with the modular commands. Let's go ahead to the command handler. It's Minecraft's command handler, so that could be half the problem actually. This process command may not be called directly by everything. So let's try this again. Base method, Go to permission command. Yeah, I don't think process command is being called. Okay, so let's go sub command here. Go to modular command, which is actually pretty useful. Handle command. If entity command handled, abstract command, handle player is help command. Okay, so it looks like what I'm going to have to do. Actually, let's put this back, and I'm going to have to put the entity command back. So we want these two methods. And then we're going to want to make sure that they call each other, by the way, so we'll do that real quick. So this will be handle console command player args. And then this just needs to come down here. So what's happening is the process command is not used in the modular command system at all. But the way to fix this is go is help command. So go up to here, and I should have thought about this originally. Is we can grab this and we can just return false. So there is no help command for this thing. Or actually, What we want to do is the only thing that will count as a help command is if args doesn't equal null and args is greater than 0, arg0 equals help, or arg equals question. This needs to be changed to length. Do an at override here, and this should work now, in theory. I know I've said that twice now, but commands are not something I work on often, so it's real easy for me to get them messed up. There's actually a quote from, I forget who it is, but even people who have been working the longest in a field can make mistakes. That should do the trick. And there's probably some things I can do with this. When I come back here later, I'm going to probably work on the command system a lot more. Probably restructure it and make it a little easier to work with. Is we do want to make our own version of some of the bucket plugins, as there still doesn't seem to have been a good resurgence of that style of plugin system. There are some. Some of the essential mods have been created, but there's still a huge gap in mods. So I'm probably going to come down through here in several months, and I'm going to rework all my command systems, as there's actually a really strong command system built into VoltEngine. It's actually really nice. It can let you do a wide variety of things. As you can tell from the way we register things, is we have a modular command system where you have a command structure and you can register subcommands to it, so you don't have to make this huge bulky mess. That was created out of necessity, by the way. But we needed it for things like, because we have a region command system, so we have something that's very similar to WorldGuard built into VoltEngine. It's not finished yet. We have a very similar system to WorldEdit. It's not finished yet, of course. We have a permission system which actually does work. It's pretty functional. More than likely, when I get done with the Access GUI, we're going to implement a version of that just for the command system. For those who don't know what the Access GUI is, if you hit the grave key when you're in VoltEngine, it should work. Why is it not working? Or it's control grave. Okay, so if you hit control grave, you open up the access system, and you can actually get some profiles here. So we can go like darks profile, save. I have a profile here. I have users I can edit with, and of course the GUI still needs more work, but I can come in here and I can change parent groups. I can edit nodes. I can put users and things here. Like if I go to owner, my name's right there. You can't remove yourself. By the way, the double rendering, what looks like double rendering, it's actually a coloration problem. It's affecting everything on the GUI because these are nested GUI components, which is, so you see right here how you get a shadow behind the words here, but you go into here, it's actually not a problem on this one except for the button right there, but you see it's the same color on both those. That's because when Minecraft renders buttons, it colorizes things. Everything on the screen, even though it doesn't look like it, is a button. That's a button, that's a button, that's a button, that's a button back there. That's how we got the nested component system working. I'm going to come through and I'm going to reprogram it here so it's not using the button prefab for everything, and then we'll be fine. We'll be able to get better rendering for this stuff. But there'll be a version of this that'll be designed just for server commands, and it'll be really cool. Anyways, back to testing everything. So VE thread clear. And there we go. So we don't have currently anything running. So what we're going to do real quick to test this, and then we're going to call it a day here, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fire off a nuke right into this big cluster here. And then I'm going to rerun that command. And as you saw, it just triggered all of its post effects really quick. It didn't say it cleared anything off, but there definitely was an active thread there. So you notice how the nuke didn't finish running, but it started triggering some of its post-trigger stuff. By the way, the clear will not turn off some of the post effects. You notice how the thermal's still running, but the nuke barely ran, and I still got hit by the radiation and everything. That's part of the worker thread system. I probably could fix it, but we'll come back and we'll work on this here tomorrow, and we'll finish it up.